The elegant lobby of the Grand Palmer Hotel hadn't changed much in the 15 years since my family had cast me aside. Same crystal chandeliers, same marble floors, same entitled smirk on my Uncle Marcus's face as he watched me scrub a stubborn stain from the front desk counter. "You missed a spot," he said, deliberately dropping his pen to create another mark. "Remember, Isabella, attention to detail is crucial in the hospitality industry. Even for the cleaning staff." I bit back my response, thinking about the documents waiting in my briefcase upstairs. In exactly 1 week I would own not just the Grand Palmer, but the entire Palmer Hotel Group, 15 luxury properties across 3 countries. My uncle just didn't know it yet. My name is Isabella Palmer, though in the business world, I'm known as IP Phoenix, the enigmatic CEO of Phoenix Hospitality Solutions. The same company that had been quietly acquiring shares of Palmer Hotel Group for the past 5 years. The same company that would complete its hostile takeover next Friday. "Isabella." My cousin Victoria's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. "Mother needs fresh towels in the presidential suite. Try not to wrinkle them this time." Victoria, the talented one, the natural hotelier, who'd been given a management position straight out of college while I was relegated to housekeeping. Never mind that I had a degree in hotel management from Cornell. Never mind that I'd worked every position in the hotel industry to learn it from the ground up. "Of course, Victoria," I replied smoothly, thinking about how her personnel file would be the first one I reviewed after the takeover. 15 years ago, when my father, the youngest Palmer brother, died unexpectedly, my Uncle Marcus had taken control of our family's share in the hotel group. I was 18, grieving, and suddenly at the mercy of relatives who had always resented my father's natural talent for the hospitality business. "You can work here," Uncle Marcus had said, his voice dripping with false generosity. "Start at the bottom, learn the business. That's what your father would have wanted." What my father had actually wanted was for me to inherit his share of the business. But Uncle Marcus had made sure that never happened, using some creative accounting and dubious legal maneuvers to push me out of my inheritance. So I'd played along. Worked as a maid, a dishwasher, a laundry attendant. Learned every aspect of hotel operations while they laughed at my dedication to menial work. All the while I was building something of my own. Phoenix Hospitality Solutions started small, consulting for struggling boutique hotels, then acquiring and renovating them. Each success brought more opportunities, more properties, more resources. While the Palmer Hotel Group stagnated under my uncle's outdated management style, Phoenix became known for innovation and excellence. My phone buzzed, a message from my CFO. "Final share purchase complete. We now own 51% of Palmer Hotel Group. Ready when you are." I smiled, wiping another imaginary spot from the counter. Everything was falling into place. "Still here." My Aunt Catherine's voice dripped with disdain as she clicked across the lobby in her designer heels. "Victoria told me you were cleaning today. How persistent of you." Aunt Catherine, the woman who'd convinced my uncle to give the poor dear a chance to earn her keep by working as a maid. The same woman who'd spent years telling everyone how grateful I should be for the opportunity. "Someone has to maintain Palmer standards," I replied, quoting one of her favorite phrases back to her. She sniffed, adjusting her expensive jewelry. "Yes, well, speaking of standards, the board meeting next week will be discussing some exciting changes. Victoria's been developing a modernization plan." I knew all about Victoria's plan. A superficial proposal that would waste millions on cosmetic upgrades while ignoring the real problems facing the hotel group. I'd seen the documents just like I'd seen everything that crossed the board's desk in the past year. Having cleaning staff access made it remarkably easy to gather intelligence. "That sounds wonderful," I said, gathering my cleaning supplies. "I'm sure Victoria has everything well in hand." "Unlike some people," Aunt Catherine couldn't resist adding, "she understands the business. Natural talent just like Marcus." I thought about the real numbers behind their successful management, declining occupancy rates, mounting maintenance issues, falling customer satisfaction scores. All carefully hidden from shareholders through creative accounting, just like they'd hidden my inheritance. My phone buzzed again, another message from my CFO. "Legal team ready. Press release drafted. Shall we proceed with Phase 2? Phase 2, the part where IP Phoenix would finally be revealed as Isabella Palmer, the maid they'd mocked for 15 years. Isabella. Victoria again, her voice sharp with irritation. Why are you standing around? The presidential suite won't clean itself. I gathered my supplies, hiding my smile. The presidential suite, where my aunt and uncle lived in luxury while paying no rent to the hotel group. Another irregularity that would soon be corrected. In my small employee locker behind the cleaning supplies and spare uniform, sat my briefcase. Inside were the documents that would change everything: proof of financial mismanagement, evidence of my stolen inheritance, and the paperwork showing Phoenix Hospitality's controlling interest in Palmer Hotel Group. My phone buzzed one more time, a message from my assistant. Your suite at the Four Seasons is ready. Shall I have your things moved there before next week's board meeting? I typed back a quick response. No. I'll be staying right here. I want to watch their faces when they realize who really owns the presidential suite. The next few hours passed in a familiar routine of cleaning rooms, changing linens, and enduring the occasional snide comment from Victoria or her friends in management. Each interaction just added fuel to the fire of satisfaction that would come with next week's revelation. You know, Victoria said during her afternoon inspection of my work, if you'd just accepted your place years ago, you might have moved up to head of housekeeping by now. I straightened the duvet on the king-size bed, thinking about how this room would be redecorated under Phoenix Hospitality's new design scheme. We all find our place eventually, Victoria. She laughed, deliberately dropping her lipstick on the freshly made bed. Well, your place is clearly here, cleaning up after your betters. Just like father, like daughter, always reaching beyond your station. I thought about my father then, how he'd built the Palmer Hotel Group's reputation for excellence, how he'd trained me from childhood to understand every aspect of the business, how proud he would be of what I'd accomplished. You know what they say about reaching high, I replied, carefully removing the lipstick stain. Sometimes you actually grab what you're reaching for. Victoria rolled her eyes, already bored with tormenting me. Whatever. Just make sure the boardroom is spotless for next week's meeting. We're announcing some major changes. Oh. I feigned interest while checking my phone. Another message confirming Phoenix Hospitality's complete takeover of Palmer Hotel Group's management contracts. Mother says I'm being promoted to executive director, she preened. About time, really. This place needs young blood in charge. I thought about the real changes coming to the Grand Palmer, starting with a complete overhaul of upper management. Congratulations, I said smoothly. I'm sure next week's board meeting will be very interesting. She was already walking away, probably late for another long lunch charged to the hotel's account. These expenses, like so many others, were carefully documented in my takeover files. Later that evening, as I cleaned the boardroom where next week's drama would unfold, I heard my uncle's voice from his office next door. The Phoenix Group is becoming a problem, he was saying. They're buying up too many shares. We need to find a way to block them. I smiled, continuing to polish the massive conference table. If only he knew that his cleaning girl was the mysterious IP Phoenix he'd been trying to identify for years. My phone lit up with another message. The final confirmation I'd been waiting for. All paperwork complete. Board meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. next Friday. Your new executive suite is being prepared. I looked around the boardroom, imagining next week's scene. The shock on their faces when they realized who really controlled their precious hotel group. The satisfaction of watching them understand that the maid they'd mocked had become their boss. Uncle Marcus's voice drifted through the wall again. We need to announce Victoria's promotion before Phoenix can make any moves. Secure the family's control. Family control. I thought about how they'd controlled my inheritance, my career, my life for 15 years. Now it was my turn to take control. I pulled out my phone and sent one final message to my team. Proceed as planned. And make sure the presidential suite is ready for its new occupant. The current residents will be needing alternate accommodations. After all, what better revenge than taking everything they'd taken from me, starting with their precious suite at the top of my hotel? The morning of the board meeting dawned bright and clear. I arrived early as usual, but instead of my maid's uniform, I wore a tailored Armani suit that cost more than Victoria's monthly salary. My cleaning cart had been replaced by a leather briefcase containing the documents that would change everything. I waited in my small locker room one last time, watching the security feed on my phone as the board members arrived. Uncle Marcus strutted in first, followed by Aunt Catherine and Victoria, all three of them radiating the smug confidence of people who thought they were untouchable. "Miss Phoenix." My assistant's voice came through my earpiece. "Everyone's seated. They're waiting for the mysterious IP Phoenix to arrive." I smiled, straightening my jacket. Time for the maid to make her grand entrance. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in, heels clicking against the marble floor I'd scrubbed so many times. For a moment no one recognized me. They'd never seen the cleaning staff dressed in designer clothes before. Then Victoria's eyes widened. "Isabella? What are you doing here? The cleaning staff isn't allowed dash." "Sit down, Victoria." I cut her off, taking my place at the head of the table. "The cleaning staff may not be allowed in board meetings, but the majority shareholder is." Uncle Marcus shot to his feet. "What is this nonsense?" "Security." I pulled out my phone and pressed a button. The screens around the room came to life, displaying Phoenix Hospitality's acquisition documents. "As of 9 o'clock this morning," I said calmly, "Phoenix Hospitality Solutions owns 51% of Palmer Hotel Group. I am IP Phoenix and this meeting will proceed as scheduled." The silence that followed was deafening. Aunt Catherine's perfectly maintained facade cracked first, her face going from shocked to pale to furious in seconds. "This is impossible," she whispered. "You're a maid." "No," I corrected her. "I'm the owner of 15 luxury hotel properties including this one. The maid was just a cover, one you were all too happy to believe." Victoria was frantically scrolling through her phone, probably checking the news. "She's right," she stammered. "Phoenix Hospitality just announced. But how?" I opened my briefcase and began distributing folders to each board member. "Inside you'll find some interesting documents. Financial records showing years of mismanagement. Proof of my stolen inheritance. Evidence of expense account abuse." I looked directly at Victoria. "Those long lunches add up, don't they, cousin?" Uncle Marcus's face had turned an interesting shade of red. "You can't prove anything." "Actually, I can prove everything." I clicked through to the next presentation slide. Being the cleaning staff has its advantages. People tend to leave interesting documents lying around when they think no one important is watching. The board members were flipping through the folders, their expressions ranging from shock to outrage as they saw the extent of the Palmer family's financial misconduct. "Effective immediately," I continued, "there will be some changes in management. Starting with the occupants of the presidential suite." Aunt Catherine gasped. "You wouldn't dare dash." "I would and I am. You have until tomorrow to vacate. Don't worry, I've arranged alternate accommodations. The Holiday Inn has very reasonable weekly rates." Victoria stood up, her designer dress suddenly looking cheap and tacky. "This is ridiculous. I'm supposed to be announced as executive director today." I smiled. "About that, your promotion has been cancelled. In fact, your position has been eliminated, along with several other unnecessary management roles." "You can't fire me," she sputtered. "I'm family." "Family." I laughed coldly. "Like when you made me clean your room while mocking my father's memory? Like when you charged personal shopping sprees to the hotel account? That kind of family." Uncle Marcus tried one last time. "The other shareholders won't stand for this. The Palmer name dash means nothing compared to profit margins." I cut him off. "And under your management those margins have been dropping for years. Phoenix Hospitality, on the other hand, shows consistent growth and innovation. The shareholders are quite happy with the change in management." I pressed another button and security entered the room. "Please escort Mr. Palmer and his family to their suite. They have packing to do." As they were led out, I called after them. "Oh, and Victoria, don't forget to tip the housekeeping staff. I hear they work very hard." The next few hours were a blur of press releases, management meetings, and watching through security cameras as my aunt and uncle packed up their luxury suite. Every few minutes, my phone would buzz with messages from family members who'd suddenly remembered my existence. "Isabella, darling, we should talk. Cousin, remember all the good times. Dear, surely we can work something out." I ignored them all, focusing instead on the changes already being implemented throughout the hotel. New management software being installed, renovation plans being reviewed, proper accounting procedures being established. Late that evening I stood in the presidential suite, now my suite, watching the sun set over the city. The same view my father had loved, the one they'd stolen from me 15 years ago. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. It was Victoria, looking decidedly less polished than usual. "Isabella, please," she began, but I held up a hand to stop her. "Let me guess, you've realized the error of your ways? You're sorry for years of cruelty? You want another chance?" She nodded frantically. "I could work my way up, start at the bottom like you did, Dash." "No," I cut her off. "You see, Victoria, I didn't start at the bottom. I was born to run this hotel group. You and your parents just forced me to take a different path to get here." "Where are we supposed to go?" she asked, her voice small. I handed her a folder. "Inside you'll find details of an entry-level position at our property in Alaska. Very entry-level. The staff quarters are small, but I'm sure you'll find them adequate. After all, you always said everyone should start at the bottom." "Alaska?" she whispered in horror. "Consider yourself lucky," I smiled. "I hear the Holiday Inn turned down your parents' rental application." After she left, I walked through my hotel at last. Every corner held memories. The supply closet where I'd hidden to cry after particularly cruel comments. The employee locker room where I'd changed from business suits to maid's uniforms. The front desk where they'd made me scrub imaginary stains. My phone buzzed with a message from my assistant. "Final inspection complete. All Palmer family members have vacated the premises. Would you like their security access revoked?" "Yes," I replied. "And have their photos added to the denied entry list." I made one final stop before retiring for the night. The small employee break room where I'd eaten countless lonely lunches. The same room where, 15 years ago, Uncle Marcus had told me I'd never be more than a maid in his hotel. On the bulletin board I pinned a new notice. "Effective immediately, all staff members are eligible for management training programs. Your background doesn't determine your future." Signed, IP Phoenix, CO. Back in my suite, I opened my father's old leather portfolio, the one possession of his I'd managed to keep. Inside were his notes about hotel management, his dreams for the future, his plans for my inheritance. "The hotel business is about more than luxury," he'd written. "It's about understanding every position, respecting every employee, and never forgetting that success comes from service." I'd learned that lesson well, though not in the way he'd intended. 15 years of forced servitude had taught me everything about hotel operations, about human nature, and about revenge. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Uncle Marcus. "You'll regret this. The Palmer name means something in this industry." I typed back a single response. "It certainly does. That's why I'm changing all the hotels' names to Phoenix Grand. The Palmer era is over." Then I blocked his number and turned to my laptop, where renovation plans for all 15 properties awaited my approval. The Palmer Hotel Group was dead. Phoenix hospitality would rise from its ashes, stronger and more successful than ever. And the maid they'd mocked? She now owned every room they'd made her clean, every lobby they'd paraded through, every suite they'd occupied without appreciation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking back what's yours, it's taking everything they thought you'd never have. As I fell asleep in the presidential suite, my suite, I smiled, thinking about tomorrow's staff meeting. First order of business. Significant raises for the housekeeping staff. After all, I of all people knew exactly how hard they worked.